Uh,
Hmm.
what we end up with here? Okay. Well, here we are. Good morning. It's Friday, right? It is Friday.
It is.
Friday, April 10th. Welcome to the Dev Talk Show. I'm here with my co-host Rich Ross. How are you doing on this Friday morning?
Good. It's been a good week, busy week. Been working a lot on an internal project, which has been keeping me super busy, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a while since, because I've been doing this job for 10 years. It's been a while since I've done a product or a project where it
Oh,
is
okay.
a product. So it's been fun.
Okay, so the end result is something that you'll use.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're building a bunch of skills for GitHub Copilot,
Okay.
Copilot CLI specifically. So there's a great extensibility story, right? To have AI do something really interesting. So we create a skill that does things like generate emails or goes through and sets schedules up and
Yeah.
working. And it's not just a couple of us. It's actually across the whole org. We've got people doing pull request tickets there. So I spent my time the last couple of days just kind of getting pull requests in order and things of that nature. So it's been fun.
Yeah. And I think it brings up a very interesting conversation. This is something I've been thinking about for a while.
Okay.
And it is the idea that I know right now it's become very exciting to sit down with agent-based tools. I don't care what they are. It doesn't matter. We're seeing all the time people are either making videos or making content about how, like, look what I've done. Like I built this piece of software and I did it just by planning together and then executing on implementing the code and stuff like that. But now what I've been really curious about is what happens when you try to take that to work. And it's one of the themes for me of the show is how do you take what you're doing to work? And now you have multiple people working at a rate they've never worked at before.
Right.
And if you just take your average software team, there is probably a process of I get a task to do. Maybe I even put it on a branch. We might even have standards for that. And then I write the code. It's going to now go into a pull request, and then someone else will review it. Because humans are doing all of this, there is enough lag, just natural lag in the work that you're doing, that even though you'll still run into the classic problem of, oh, somebody else's pull request went in first, and so now I have to resolve some conflicts because there may be some very commonly used files in many people's projects. There's always that one CS file that everybody's touching every time, and there's always that one settings file. So, but because I only have to manage that conflict with one pull request ahead of me, you just do it. And as our good friend Jess Chadwick always said, developers have a high tolerance for pain. Right. So you just do it. I learned that from him and I've never forgotten it. What if you're working in this AI accelerated world and by the time you solve the merge conflict problem for one PR, 5 more have appeared?
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself, you're running on a treadmill, right?
I couldn't get out of the queue. Like I would pull mine back, set the things up and come back and there's like 2 more sitting there waiting to go.
Right. So I actually believe these are topics. I mean, we discussed it a little bit offline. I'm like, these are topics we can address. Because I think this is coming for us all and it'll just be frustrating. So,
and can I point Copilot to it and say, do the review, do the thing? Like, yeah, but I do want to have a little bit of control over it just because of the visibility of it. And we're just getting ready to launch it. So we don't want to have something, oh, I didn't know that got in there, right? You don't want to end up in that situation.
From everything I'm seeing, we are still at the point in all of this. And listen, I don't know if this point is going to last a year, 2 years, or 2 weeks. I really don't know.
Yeah.
We are still at the point where as developers, I think we're getting more comfortable with allowing something to implement, but then you want to review it. And that review, we take it back to our time and space, but yet more work is being piled on.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like science fiction was written about all this stuff, right? the difference between human time, the cyberpunk being in meat space versus net runners who just, everything in their world is in a snap of a finger. Here in our world, they've done 10,000 things. Very interesting.
Very cool. Yeah.
So on today's show, I want to have a short talk about structured output. If you've been following along, you know that we have been building agents with Foundry, and that I was generally inspired by the AI Dev Days to create a pizza ordering agent. And we've done a lot there. Not only did we convert the Python-based project to a C# implementation, all available up in our GitHub repos. We went a little further than the AI Dev Days presentation and went ahead and implemented a C# version of the API, an MCP server that presents tools to talk to it, and the pizza dashboard, and the voice live implementation to talk to an avatar to order your pizza.
Very cool.
And that's all really cool. But if you've known us for a while, you have heard me ask the question, is all that there is to AI chat? Like, is there nothing more? I've been asking that for years. And I think, Rich, I've even probably frustrated you with just going like, I still don't get it. But by doing these things, it's coming across.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're heading to the step of what's after chat.
I think so. And it's funny, we were, kind of in leading up to the show, we were talking a little bit about what we were talking about. And I was thinking through that very concept, like, gosh, 6 months ago, the conversations we were having, like it was just chat. It was just these, these conversations with AI. And I think Chris is getting it.
Yeah, right. Like it took a while. So what I want to talk about today is structured output. And the reason why is there's two reasons. One is that it is super easy for .NET developers and agent framework to produce structured output. But the second reason is because I think that structured output is the step after the chatbot. This is what's beginning to make sense. It's the step after the chatbot oriented workflow to making the usage of AI somewhat invisible to a traditional app. You don't even realize, I mean, you could realize, but you don't have to realize what's going on. Mm-hmm. You just realize that it's so much more flexible than before.
Yeah.
And I think one way to look at that is, let me see if I can bring this up before we bring up the screen here, is about a year ago, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so let me bring this up and then we'll switch screens here. I'll go ahead and let's see. We want to switch to this. Ta-da! Oh, nope, that wasn't what we wanted to switch to. This is it. About a year ago, actually, wow, it's already been 2 years. Can you believe it? I remember this little thing sort of was like a fire that burned very brightly and then I think got forgotten about.
Yeah.
.NET Smart Components. And the demo shows Smart Paste. I mean, it shows other things too, but let's just concentrate on Smart Paste. The idea of Smart Paste being how many times in our lives do we have to fill this out? And so you actually have to sit here and type first name, last name. Autocomplete tries to jump in and help. Great, fine.
Yeah.
But what if I had an email from somebody that was like, my name is this, and here's my phone. And the phone, heck, it doesn't even have to have name and phone number. Maybe it's signed Chris Gomez with the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And the top of the letterhead is the address. And you just grab the email, you cut it, you paste it in here, and it looks at it and says, wait a second, I can look at this blob and figure out how to fill these things in. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about how Smart Paste is implemented. That's not what's important to me. What's important is the idea that to an external user, you're just using software, but we understand that what's happening behind it is some kind of model figuring out what to do with the paste instead of deterministic code that we always used to write to try and figure out how to import whatever it is you brought in.
Right.
And to me, to get to there, I'm not saying that this uses structured output. I'm not saying that at all. But to get to that, to make that useful, the web app has now got to take this blob of stuff and get it into the recipient data model, the address data model. I'm going to guess those are C# models.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to guess they are. I don't know what they really are, but
yeah. But I mean, so take a time back to 2 years ago, and we showed this application on the show. We can go to the repo for it, but the Hello Dolly app that I did, needed structured output, and we were using the 3.5 models at that time. It's that long ago, right? Think of how far we've come, and we didn't have structured output. There was ultimately a C# class that JSON structure that I got back was ultimately deserialized into, but I was at the mercy of the prompt for the model. And I think what we're going to show here is that the models have gotten better at talking and responding in that structured way that we didn't have in the past, and probably wasn't in use in those smart components either. Not that I know it, not that I've seen this code, but
I have no idea how smart components were implemented. But in order to get to where I want to go, which is to say, give an agent something, I don't care what it is. And this is where I think we're heading on future shows. Is I want to give an agent something. I want to give it a PDF. I want to give it an email. I want to give it a voice recording and have it say, okay, I can take what you've given me and return something in your language as a developer, some C# POCOs. And then you can run with that in your application as if you wrote the world's greatest importer. Because nowadays, how many applications, if you're familiar with accounting, you can export from QuickBooks and Quicken, and you can export from your bank, and you can export from and all you get are everything. I have another friend whose saying is that everything in the world begins and ends in Excel. So you get a CSV, and then what the developer does is they painstakingly write CSV importers for all the different pieces of software that they think you're going to want to integrate with.
Yeah.
But we live in a world now where I don't even have to ask that question. I could say, oh, you don't know how to produce a CSV, or maybe you don't even have QuickBooks. Who cares? What do you have? I have my bank statement from my bank. Send it in. I have a voice recording of me saying, hey, I just wrote a check for $92 and the check number is 3176. Done. Right. So, but to me, I think the step is take at the edge. I'm going to use that term. And I know that term's kind of overloaded, but at the edge, I'm getting something, but what I'm getting out is something nice, deterministic, structured, so that we can move forward. So with Foundry supports structured output, and we're in the Learn documentation. And what I want to show you real quick is that structured outputs make a model follow a JSON schema, okay? And you can define that JSON schema. They even say here, structured outputs are recommended for function calling, extracting structured data, and building complex multi-step workflows. And my belief is the reason why it helps is because each step doesn't have to like sit here and say, hold on, what did you give me? You've turned it into something structured, which is great. Even in the age of AI, it's still great to have it distilled into a meaningful schema of some kind. So what you have to do in fact, and this is the C# piece of this. We could look at Python, we could look at REST. What you have to do is, this code may look familiar if you've been following along, as we get an Azure credential and we create an OpenAI client, and then you create a chat completion. But what you have to send into the chat completion is you have to say in the base libraries here, or if you're using the REST API, is you kind of have to define the JSON.
Oh, wow.
Like, here's what I want you to return to me.
Right. And that's a JSON schema. That's not just the JSON property value, key value property combination.
Yes, that's right. Now, what we're not going to look at, because I kind of want to get to the code, is that you can do some neat stuff, not necessarily here in base and I don't know whether I want to call it the base Foundry API, but with the OpenAI package.
Mm-hmm.
With the OpenAI package, you kind of have to do more of the work. But Agent Framework, you know how I always say, like, I'm a C# developer. What am I doing defining JSON in this way? It feels weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we go to the Agent Framework? And that's what we're going to do right now.
Okay.
We're going to go to Agent Framework, and we're going to see how this makes it nice for the C# developer, to the point that I think there's a lot of really cool stuff here. So this is going to end up available on our GitHub repo. I'm actually going to try and build it right now, and hopefully by the end of the show even push it. That would be really cool. If I fail at that, then it may end up getting pushed up a little bit later. So what do I need? I need to just open this particular folder with Visual Studio Code. And here we are. And then I'm also going to, let's see, I actually need this path. So let me think for a second. Control click should open it, right? I thought it was going to. Maybe I already did open it. What I need is I need to get to this path in a terminal. So that's why I'm sitting here kind of putzing around. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we are in a terminal. Let's clear this terminal just to make it simple. Don't worry about the Git repo thing. We're going to start off by making a new app, .NET new console. Oh, I love how it even knows what I'm going to type here. We're going to make a new console app in a new folder beneath this. And it created it. Okay, cool. We see it pop up here in Visual Studio Code. We've got our hello world, and we've got a project file. That's all awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to, I'm going to love this if it just knows what packages I want to add. But we want to add a few packages to this. So we're going to say .NET add. Azure Identity is one of them. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That happens to be the latest one. Oh, I need to first, let's just go, just to make it easier. Yeah, let's just CD into it to make it easier. We're going to need Azure Identity so that we get support for the default Azure credential, and just any Azure credential, really.
Mm-hmm.
We need, we also need Azure AI Projects. Now, Azure AI Projects is Agent Framework.
Okay.
Currently on version 2.0, out of release candidate land.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times on this show, people may not realize it, but we have been using like release candidates and stuff. I need to go back and update some of our repos too. And then, no, wait, I'm sorry. Azure AI Projects is the Foundry SDKs.
Yes, sorry.
My bad. Microsoft Agents AI is the base level of the agent framework.
Correct.
I'm going to go ahead and bring in Microsoft Agents AI Foundry, because that brings in Microsoft Agents AI, but it also brings in the little connector points that just make it super easy to connect up to Foundry.
And when you say connect to Foundry, what we're connecting to are the model endpoints, right? Or are there other things that we might get to do can it let us connect to some of the agents that we might have previously created, or some of the knowledge, knowledge sources and things? And sorry, I just threw that at you. I realized.
No, you're right. So the most important piece here is this gets us very easy connectivity to a Foundry project, and to use, as to your point, the Foundry specific world of agents, deployments, models, stuff like that.
Cool.
Now, the thing about that, when I say that, I want to be a little careful, because Foundry is implementing standards as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can communicate with Foundry using what oftentimes in the namespaces will say Azure OpenAI or OpenAI, or even, I'm sorry, not Azure OpenAI, just OpenAI. A lot of those namespaces can still be used with Foundry. I personally finally came to the realization that I was beating my head against the wall for almost no real good reason to ignore just the beneficial support of recognizing, like, hey, in this project I'm connecting to Foundry, let me just use the Foundry based agent framework additions.
Yeah.
If you absolutely need to be multi-platform, you could do all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just didn't feel like super necessary for what we're trying to do here. So let's talk real quick about what was brought in. If you didn't follow it with the .NET add packages, is we brought in Azure AI Projects, Azure Identity, and the most important thing is we're bringing an agent framework.
Yeah.
If we really go and dig in, we know agent framework, the base is sitting, it was brought in by the Foundry package.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I think, I hope is pretty cool to people. Let's just go ahead and create an agent real quick. And I'm going to go ahead. You need to use your Foundry endpoint, project endpoint. I'm not super concerned about either of these values being sensitive because I'm not going to use API keys, and
Right.
you don't have my Azure credentials. So I already have a Foundry project. In fact, I think that Foundry project might be available for me to show. Yes, it is. So let's just go take a peek at it. What you're going to see is there's hardly anything in here. I created a Foundry project. So I have the project endpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is an agent here that I created by hand, not using this agent.
Okay.
I did deploy some models. We're going to use GPT-4.1 Mini.
Makes sense. Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Right.
So that's all I've done. Okay. I'm creating a couple variables to hold that information because when we push this up to GitHub, I'm going to leave these out, and then if you want to use this code, you'd put in your own values here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do we need to do to get started? Well, what's really cool about Agent Framework is this is all it takes to get an agent that's a chat client agent, which uses the responses API. Remember, there's a couple standards for I may not be using this term correctly, but the way when you converse with an API, there's the responses API,
Mm-hmm.
and then chat completions is the other API, right?
Yes.
So we're choosing responses. And what's really cool is we have this extension method that will give us a chat client agent, and all we have to give it is the project endpoint and some credential that will be allowed. My default Azure credential with AZ login will work.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to use AZ login unless you change this. You could change it to an API key if you wanted. And then all I got to do is give it, well, what's the model? Well, we already saw the model name. What are some instructions? We could probably give better instructions, but we're not going to need them today.
Okay.
Oh, and what's the agent? Now, this agent isn't persisted, but just give it an agent name. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right. It's how we might refer to it locally here if we've got multiple agents, I would think.
Yeah. So I love how Copilot's like, is this what you want to be next? And it's like, you're close. But I want it to be a little bit more robust. So we are going to just write out to the console, enter a state, province, or country to get information about its capital.
Okay.
That's, and let's see, yeah, okay, we're good. Okay. So now I need, in order for this, I love how it's like, so you're going into a loop then. And it's like, yeah, you're right. We are going into a loop. So, but not necessarily that loop.
So can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you go down to the little Copilot guy in the corner,
yeah,
you can
use it for a little bit.
That eagerness as it says.
Yeah.
There.
The thing about it is sometimes I think that's actually really cool.
Oh,
but I agree that from here, I do think we'll be better off ignoring it for a bit. So thank you.
Cool. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go into a loop. And what's the loop going to do? The loop's going to say, hey, user, enter some location. Okay. And then we are going to read that out. We'll just use plain old console read line to read that out. If you don't give me anything, we're going to go away. This code was actually a little bit more complicated. I was sitting here. Previously, I did things like if you type exit, if you type quit, if you hit the escape key. And I ended up having to write all this code when I'm like, okay, you know what? If you hit enter, you can go home, right?
Right.
And to keep the demo focused on the demo. That's what I was most afraid of, is now there was all this extra code. Whatever you type in, I'm going to trim it just in case. I don't even know if that's really that important. And let's see, what else do I want to do? Is I want to say, I'm not even sure if that'll exit correctly, but that's not really that important to me. I want to create a prompt. Please provide information about the capital of whatever you type in.
Okay.
Whatever you type in. So we're using interpolated strings there. Now, you know what's really cool about Agent Framework is this is literally all I have to do to get the prompt and response. Like, that's it.
Very nice, very clean.
And then we can now you can do more. A response might have more than one message.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen when we talked about function calling, a response might say, hey, can you call this function for me? Among other things to do. We're just going to ignore all that and just say, just splat it all out.
Okay.
And so that's enough to run an app. So let's go ahead and say I want the C# and I want this particular thing to be the project. So I've told Visual Studio Code what I want to run, and we're going to get this all coming up here in the debug console. And I'm going to go ahead and enter a location. I grew up in California, so let's say California. I'm not even going to spell it correctly. That's fine. And it's going to go out, and we're just going to get an answer back, just like you do with chatbots and ChatGPT all day long. I didn't think it would take this long. The capital of California is Sacramento. It is located in the northern part of the Central Valley and serves as the state's political and administrative center. That's great. That's awesome. Let me do it again. I'm hoping. So we didn't really get. Oh, we did. We got a slightly different answer. The capital of California is Sacramento. It is located in the northern part of the Central Valley and serves as the political center of the state. So the agent's doing its job. It's providing concise answers.
Yeah.
But it's like whack-a-mole. I don't know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
What if I know what I want the response to be, number one, and I would like to get it back the same way every time?
Mm-hmm.
This is where Agent Framework structured output support, in my opinion, shines. Because all I have to do is declare this class and say, I want my structured output is city info, the name of the city, the population, the capital, and the year it was founded. And I haven't even annotated it with anything to describe this for the benefit of the model. I could do that, but that's all I'm going to say.
Right. Like if you have some crazy property in there that you want to get that is a combination of maybe multiple properties or something it doesn't kind of natively understand, you could probably define what that is, right?
Yeah. Right. Okay. So in this case, imagine what's happening here is Agent Framework is doing the heavy lifting of building this stuff.
Yeah.
Saying what's required, what's not required. You can do more annotation here, but it's doing all that heavy lifting and just saying like, oh, you want a city info for your response? Okay. Well, what does that look like? Agent response. And except that this is a generic now. And I want you to do an agent response of city info.
Mm-hmm. And
we'll call this a structured response so that I don't reuse the name from above. And you just say agent.run async, and it's already finishing it off for me. This is also run async of city info. And here's the prompt. We built the prompt up above. And then I can just say, yeah, see, I don't even need it to be that complicated. I appreciate it, Copilot. But the fact is that we're just going to take that structured response, which is now in our POCO, and just pull out. Obviously, look, the structured response could return null. There could be an error. I should be doing more than just saying like YOLO, this is all going to work.
Right.
But just print out the name, print out the population, print out the capital, and print out the year founded. And we're ready to run. Like, that's it. So there's a lot of interesting things to me about this. I'm curious what you're picking up on. But now I'm going to go ahead and we'll stick with California for now. And it's going to go and this is actually making 2 calls, right? It's running the model for the same prompt twice, but one time agent framework is just whatever the model returns. And the other time it is returning this structured output that we then use an interpolated string to format for our viewer. Sacramento's the capital, population is this, and the year founded is 1848. So I wonder if I actually, well, anyways, the point is that it's the capital of California is what this kind of interpolated or figured out for us. So it's fine. The point is that we don't even need this. I can do something else, like I can say China, and now we're going to get the capital of China is Beijing, but we get this structured output of population and year founded, right? I think it's funny to do things like this, to say France, and for year founded to come out -52.
Oh, wow.
I think it's I'm amused by that, right? You get this flowery, and I don't mean it in a negative way, prose response each time. But if I type France again, I'm not sure I'm going to get the same thing. I didn't. It replaced the word gastronomy with cuisine. It was really close, really close. Now, I think some of the reason it's close is because I said to keep answers brief. If I took that off, I have a feeling they will not be similar.
Especially with a country as old as France.
Yeah. So, but what I get every time is I get the answer I'm looking for every single time. And all I did was define a class.
And what I was doing while you were kind of running through that was looking through the documentation to see if there is, because if you think about it, yes, you might need that information to go do something else behind the scenes, that structured output. But I still want to have that sentence that's presented to the user about what it is that, and it includes, includes those pieces of my structured output, right? As part of the sentence that gets created or the response that gets created. And I don't see anything that gives that combination without having to run it a second time.
Are you saying that you kind of want to know what the response was behind the scenes?
So like in your first one, you created a sentence.
Yes.
Some kind of a verbal response that could be put up on a screen. I still want to get the properties back, but I also want to get that same sentence as part of one request. It's almost like, here's the string output and use it in a sentence while you're at it.
Okay, let's see. I'm curious what text looked like, because I don't know.
Okay.
So,
and we don't have the debug on. Okay.
Yeah, debug's not on. I mean, I could just fine. Debug it.
No,
it's funny. It's actually gonna do that for me. But I don't think you're wrong that we could examine it too. So let me go ahead and and build this, get it restarted. And what happened to the debug console? Whoops, wrong thing. Here we go. Let's say France again. I think the first time might be, because it seems to go much quicker after the first one. I wonder if this is the Foundry connection taking a second, or I'm not sure. But capital of France is Paris. Here we are. We're about to get back this stuff. Okay, great. But text is, see, this looks like this is just going to be the JSON, right? Yeah. So what happened is the agent framework took this for us. But I think what you're trying to do is you want to get the answer that might come from the LLM Wow, that feels like a prompt issue, or maybe even this class.
So
I'm not.
almost having a separate property in there that is use this in a sentence.
Yeah, I wonder if, let's see, public string description. Okay.
Okay.
And so that's one thing. But now what about attributes I can set? I don't know if you're seeing anything in the documentation here. Well, this is kind of what I'm hoping for.
Mhm.
A brief description of the city. Begin your response with the capital of, I don't know if this is going to work. Location is, yeah. Like, I don't know what this is going to do with this, but I wonder.
Right.
And then we need to show it. We need to show it. So let's, I'm just going to actually add another new line just so we can see what happens. I do kind of like how you can, oh, actually it's trying to do it for me. So it's fine. I kind of like how you can get the JSON that came back from the API here with structured response.txt. I think that's actually kind of cool. So we're just going to put the description on its own line. And let's see. It's almost like a sneaky way to provide some instructions here, although I do not know what's really going to happen. So let's say France. And here it goes. And all we did was add a little bit to our city info. And we know we're going to get back our first little flowery one from before. But then let's go down to what structured output did. Structured output gave us what we got before, but then its description, the capital of France is Paris, known for its art, culture, and history. So, you know, it's almost like you include more in your structured output, I guess, if you want some kind of prose back, and maybe instructions can help flush this out. And
Yeah.
I feel like I sort of bypassed instructions here, but I think it's kind of interesting that it worked.
Yeah, definitely.
Montana. Let's just type in Montana. I don't know anything about Montana. The capital of Montana is Helena. It is located in the western part of the state. Now that's from the other one. So the capital of Montana is known for its rich history during the gold rush era. So it just kept it brief, you know. But we still got our population, our capital, the year founded, and hey, here's what the structured output looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe this should be, I think this would be more useful if it was country.
Okay.
Because I feel like even the agent got confused. It was like, you're already asking me about a capital. What do you mean by capital? Right? That was the answer.
Before you run it.
Oh, okay. Too late. Something blew up anyway.
What blew up?
I know what blew up is we no longer have capital here. So see, the negative is I'm getting used to the idea that everything's just going to work all the time. So I didn't even, my old brain would have been like, hold on, I can't just change it here. Anyways, what else did you want to do? Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe we change that text that we want to spit back in the description, but if we leave it this way, we know it's coming back forced with that text. I was gonna put something crazy in there, like unrelated to what we're doing.
Okay.
Just to show that it's using what's there.
Okay. Like that?
Sure, that works.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Is it kind of is a little bit more of a, I really believe that we're not just lucking our way into this. Okay, so let's see, Oklahoma. I don't know anything. Let's learn a little about Oklahoma. So it says, feels like we need a drum roll. The capital. So obviously this is the old response. The new response, we get our structured output. Tell the show's audience that the capital of Oklahoma is Oklahoma City, which is known for its cowboy culture and rich history in the oil industry, which is a totally different answer from what we got from the flowery response.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got the structured output in JSON. So yeah, I actually am a little amused that I feel like I'm providing instructions through class annotations.
Yeah. It's funny how
I wonder if I tried to describe, like, I actually really truly wonder what other things are available, what other annotations are available. And maybe that's just me needing to do a little bit more research, right? I know when we were doing it with the function calling, we used description and we used things like max value and stuff like that. So that, or it was a way to let it know what you were after.
Right.
So, oh, and then what? Let's see. Hold on. Capital United States. Okay, good. I shouldn't say capital anymore. That was my mistake as well. Should say country. But yeah, I mean, to me, even though this is a pretty simple looking demo that will get pushed up to our GitHub repo, we'll show everybody where that is. I feel like this leads me to what I want to do next.
Yeah.
Which is I want to give agents some input that could be almost anything and have it return to me the same type of output every time that then I could use to populate a web page, fill a table, produce another artifact. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's kind of unlimited depending on what it is you're looking to do for your, the business case you're trying to solve.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I think we'll go from here to do some future projects. But I wanted to get this stuff down and really understand it. And I was pleasantly surprised at how helpful Agent Framework is here. Again, tell the show's audience that the capital of the United Kingdom is London, this historic city known for its iconic landmarks such as Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, and the Tower of London. And it, kind of went for it. Similar. Houses of Parliament instead. It's just not deterministic. I could run this 10 times and I don't know what it's going to do. So, I mean, we could even do other interesting things like this almost starts to become a game where it's popular cuisine examples. I'm actually not 100% sure what it's going to do with this. But
it's complaining about that question mark at the end of the.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Who knows what I was thinking there? And who knows what it's going to do with this? But let's find out. Oh, what's going on?
You're still in the.
Yeah, I'm still in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then cuisine. And then there we go. Yep. And let's say Missouri. This is just having fun now. And I'm not sure how practical that is to try and have your model sort of serve as directions.
Right.
But at least it's barbecue toasted ravioli and gooey butter cake. And so if you're from Missouri, you can let us know how well it did.
Right.
So, I didn't even spell it correctly, but it figured it out. And it says scrapple, pierogies, and cheesesteaks. So there you go.
Far off.
Yeah, there you go. So, interesting, right? Interesting to me. But I kind of feel like this is the thing that gets me to the next step of what I think we'll do on future shows, which is I really kind of want to build an agent that can just take stuff and then turn that into useful output. And there's a couple project ideas I think we're going to work on. Not too dissimilar from, I think, what you were talking about, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So what have we got here? Let's take a look real quick. I've got all this stuff. I don't have a git ignore, so let's say .NET add. I might not necessarily need to add it here, but I'm going to do it anyway. Isn't that how you do? I forget. Or maybe it's just .NET new git ignore. That might be what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me back up to. We might have a git ignore
at the root. Well,
I think we do in this particular repo. So maybe I didn't really want to do that. I'm going to show. I'll show everybody real quick what I'm doing here. Let's see. Let's just find out. Let's say git add and see what we get. Yeah, it's not trying to add the whole world, so that's fine. Awesome. All right. So we're going to commit this really quickly. Say work from today's show. It's not the greatest commit message anyone's ever had, but I should be able to push this up, and then we can take a look at what that means very quickly. Like, what did I just do? If I go to GitHub,
you committed back to main, but that's another story.
Wait, what happened?
You committed back to main, which is another.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. So at github.com, the Dev Talk Show, we have a shows repository where I think when we have shows that aren't necessarily full-blown projects, but people still might want the samples, then you can find it. You can find the exact sample we worked on. In fact, I probably should have taken this stuff out, and I still can. But I'm not super worried about it being up there. It just gets in the way. Like, this should be your project endpoint.
Yeah.
And I'll get that done and push that up there. But like I said, I personally am not worried about this because you can't use it. It's often very easy to worry that, like, oh no, somebody's gonna use other resources. But anyways, there we are.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of how easy that was, and even that in some sense the structured output schema guides it guides what comes back from the agent, and I'm not 100% sure how that interaction works. I just really don't know, other than because I don't know that it's part of the prompt, but it's clearly part of the API.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got questions, and I need to dig a little bit more on that before, maybe we'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah,
in the future. But it is shocking how easy it is compared to what I did in the past.
Yeah, because in the past, we were basically telling the agent, now give your response this way. Mm-hmm. And there was a mode previously called JSON mode. But if I remember what the documentation said, is they don't even recommend using it anymore, as they were like, well, look, JSON mode will give you JSON. We promise you that. but so we did get a hello from Martian Coders. Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you very much for the comment and for joining us today. And hopefully you found this just little quick introduction to structured output interesting, using Agent Framework. We happen to be using Foundry. There's a whole lot of things I'd like to explore as well about some of the support to deploy your agent, like with ASP.NET Core, or just maybe in a web app, and how do we connect to that? And I haven't even touched that stuff yet, but I think it's interesting. Yeah. Foundry is a great place to start, though, because look at what I did to get that support. I didn't hardly do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Excellent. Well, hey, have a great weekend.
You too.
And everybody watching, you have a great weekend. If you have any questions or just want to like on YouTube, don't hesitate to head down, leave us a comment, like the show. We'll make more shows like it. If you're watching on LinkedIn, thank you for joining on, this happens to be my personal channel, and on Twitch. It's always good to see you. So for Rich, I'm Chris, and we will see you all next time on the Dev Talk Show.